Well, I've said this for the longest time, and I keep on getting constant criticism that say, "Oh, these things you say will never happen." But I've said, well, I'm quite happy to wait. I'll suffer these slings and arrows that people keep on throwing at me, and hey, time will prove me right. And guess what? Looks like time is gonna prove me right because what have I been saying? What have I been saying for years at this point? That look, when we get a new government, as we've just had, things are going to dramatically change. There has been a very, very seismic shift in rhetoric, in how we are going to do things as a UK, where we are seeing our priorities. The fact that you had David Lammy immediately barely getting his feet underneath the table, and then going off to Europe. And bear in mind, I'm doing this on the morning. We've just had the news about Donald Trump's new ear piercing. There is now the unfortunate likelihood that that event may give Trump a win. As much as we do not want it, to win, he may win this. Now there's now the becoming quote the iconic photo, of course, of Trump behind the American flag with his arm, fist raised in the air. Um, I'll probably talk about Trump, I think, later. Certainly when there's more evidence and stuff out there. And I think when things have maybe calmed down a bit, I'm very, very hesitant to sort of talk about anything at the moment because I think social media companies are going to be very, very um, aggressive on anything negative said about Trump in the next couple of days. So I'm certainly going to be keeping my mouth shut for the time being on this. But like I say, I just want to keep my child safe at the moment. I am just being sort of overly cautious, and that is my advice to anyone else. But like I say, feel free to ignore my advice if you want. Um, I only work in this field, but if you want to sort of ignore that, go ahead. Like I say, I have just given advice. That's all I've done. Um, but yes, let's go on to this because I think this is a lot of I think very very positive stuff. I think going forward, and I think certainly resetting sort of relations and advancing these relations and sort of working together is something we should have always done. It is exactly at the heart of the European project of countries coming together, working together to get stuff done. And yet, I've only been saying that for years, and yet I've had all kinds of slings and arrows thrown at me. But hey, time is proving me right on a lot of this. So, you know, I'll await the apologies, but they'll never come. So I'm not holding my breath on those. But anyway, for the time being, please do remember to click on the like, share, and of course the subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page, the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course as well there's the Pony Club down below too. So we're just going to go over Starmer's speech he did recently at Blenheim Palace. So where were we? So here we go. He begins with this. So we cannot be spectators in this chapter of history. We must do more and go further, and not just be courageous for Ukrainians on the front lines, all those now being trafficked from country to country. We must also look to our future generations and look back with pride at what our country achieved together. Again, very, very good rhetoric, vastly changed what we've had over the last couple of years. Even when Rishi Sunak knew that he had to sort of de-escalate things after, Boris and Truss, he sort of, tempered his rhetoric more, but he would never even say anything like this. So bear in mind, this is a massive step forward in sort of UK, EU, and sort of European relations in general. And this does, I think, bode for a lot of very good things down the line as well. He said, He continued to say, he said, I would change the way that the UK engages with our European partners, working collaboratively to drive forward progress on these generational challenges. And that work starts at the European Political Community meeting on Thursday. And that will be very, very interesting to see what comes out of that meeting. That will be very, very interesting to come out what happens on this. But more interestingly is what was said here, because I want to highlight this. So, UK and European diplomats are also detecting a shift in tone. The first step will now likely see the UK and EU move towards a new security pact to better deal with issues such as Ukraine. I think that is eminently possible. I think this has been talked about constantly in Europe that we need such a new defense pact. And as I said now, I think very, very much so. Now, with unfortunate likelihood that, um, America might change its president potentially in the next couple of months. I think this is now really sharpening efforts of what we have to do to help get some of these things achieved, especially as we know full well the plan, or at least Trump's plan, would basically involve giving Russia everything that it wants, and you see Ukraine lose a lot of its territory, um, because that's peace to sort of Donald Trump. Um, you know, we have to. I think this is a moment where Europe has to sort of stand up, and we have to, I think, as well, stand up as one. Should that happen, to say no, America, that is wrong. Um, so Europe as one will have to sort of signal that, and of course, this also brings to some worrying things that Trump has said about Article 5 that doesn't, shall we say, necessarily mean American military intervention to an Article 5 be triggered by, let's say, Latvia or another sort of country in NATO. So there is a lot of worrying signs to come, and I think this is really sharpening a lot of minds in Europe about our collective security. That now, should there be a change in government, we cannot rely potentially on America to come, and that we are going to have to very, very much defend ourselves in a lot of these situations. So getting a security pact ultimately would be a massive, massive move forward, and ultimately would shift relations and open up other possible agreements, because there's now, back to this, there is also speculation there could be agreements on a new youth mobility scheme, possibly even further down the line, the mutual recognition of professional qualifications. That will be a very, very good direction of travel to go in. That will be a very, very good direction of travel to go in. This is the one that I think a lot of us, pro-Europeans, were certainly hoping for. The fact that we do have now this is going forward a lot of in the direction that we wanted. You know, these agreements now becoming more talked about. All the things that I've been saying. Oh, if we get a change in government, there's going to be a change in rhetoric. There's going to be a need to work closer together. Oh, look. Anyway, also, bear in mind, Starmer has been talking a lot with with Ireland and France as well. A lot of those have been happening as well, and we've had some very, very good things from Ireland and France as well in sort of working together on a lot of these things. But I also want to go down to this former diplomat for France. So this is what he said. So Sunak has now gifted Starmer the perfect platform to now consolidate his position as a leading figure on European security, with Biden, Macron, and Schultz all now in deep electoral trouble. In my experience, the parliamentary training makes UK politicians very effective at chairing and brokering solutions at big meetings. And the FDCDO will now have prepared the ground very well. So this is now a real opportunity to show that Britain is back at the center of diplomacy. And I also want to mention this as well, what Starmer also said there is a sense that after Brexit, the UK had become forward too inward looking and was not interested as it once was in taking its place on the global stage. The UK is confident and it is back. So that would be very, very good as well. But also, this statement also coming from Biden. He said, "I see you guys as the knot tying the transatlantic alliance together. The closer you are with Europe." So even you have America saying, "You need to be closer to Europe. You need to be, closer to Europe. Otherwise the transatlantic alliance thing doesn't really work out." So strategically, diplomatically, defense wise, economically, we are going in the right direction. We are very, very, very much going in the right direction. So I'm very, very happy with all this because it looks like all my predictions coming true. So, you know, as always, let me know what you think down below. And of course, as always, thank you very much for all the support you guys give. Even if you do, just click on the like and share button. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.